Let's pray, everybody. Father God, we thank you so much for the blessings of today, for bringing us to another Sabbath, for spiritual and for physical food. As we come now to engage with this topic, we pray your blessings upon our presenter, Dr. Pierre, and our engagement. May we all learn and grow from this experience, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Dr. Pierre.
Good afternoon, Saints. You guys are actually back. See, you all don't play about this ministry, huh? That's how it should be. The Sabbath is a day of rest, relaxation, learning, and growing together in Christ, right? Thank you for having me again this afternoon or evening. We're here to do part 2. And this is more technical in terms of some of the things we're going to be talking about. How do I move this? Up, down, I need to point. Oh. Yeah, me and technology, so we will find a way to get it together. We just prayed. Is it okay if I go straight into the presentation? Okay, so we're here to talk about mental health. Mental health in most cultures, especially Caribbean cultures, is very taboo, right? It's very taboo. It's something we see as a weakness if someone has a mental health issues. Yet, mental health is a good thing. Mental health is a good thing. We're going to see the difference. So what is mental health? Mental health is one ability to be able to regulate your emotions, to be able to work all the way to your full potential. You can deal with the normal stresses of life. You are able to cope, to adapt and adjust. And then you are able to make valuable contributions to your family, society, church, family, community, etc. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, social, relational, spiritual well-being. And it impacts how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. So if one asks me, mental health is a good thing then, based on this definition. When mental health is essential from infancy through adolescency and then through adulthood. So through every stage of life, mental health is important. Hence, when we don't take care of our mental health, we may get to what's called mental illnesses. Oftentimes, we use mental health and mental illnesses interchangeably. That's wrong. Mental health, I just said, that's the good thing. We take care of our mental health, then we can think, feel, act, behave in a way that's appropriate. When we don't take care of it, we may fall under a category that's called mental illnesses. 1 in 4 Americans, meaning anybody living in the Americas, 1 in 4 will experience a mental illness at one point in their life. Mental illnesses are literal medical conditions of the brain where your thinking, your feeling, and your mood is impacted. You have some chemical imbalance that impacts how you think, how you feel, how you behave. We just saw when we are okay mentally or mental health-wise, we can do those things without any difficulties. Mental illnesses is an ability that result in a diminished capacity of your ability to cope with life's ordinary challenges. Oftentimes I ask people, what's different between stress, something that's stressful or traumatic? We deal with stress every day, right? We're gonna be late to work. I'm stressed. Now my boss gonna think I'm not responsible What happened to you, you late again, right? What started as a stressful situation can turn into a traumatic situation if in that I started speeding, going in and out of traffic, and then I get into a bad accident. The bad accident might be fatal, where now something that was stressful, if I'm stressed, I can cope with it. I can call my boss, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be 10, 15 minutes late, as opposed to getting into a car accident. Now is something that may be traumatic. So what you could have prayed about, what you could have taken a deep breath for, now is something that's much bigger. So it is essential that we make that distinction. Mental health is so important that we have to give it its true credence in terms of people of faith. When we have physical health malaise, the headaches, diabetes, hypertension, we're quick to go to the doctor. We're quick to take our medication. But something is not going right mentally, emotionally. Oh, we just got to take it to the Lord in prayer. The same God that created those medical doctors created psychologists, therapists, social workers, psychiatrists. Why is it okay? We can go to see a medical doctor for physical maladies, but not for a mental malaise. We have one body. The same body created by the same God. The same God created the very many specialists that we know to take care of all of everything that we bring. It takes one God to create the entire body, but it takes a million of specialists to take care of each individual part. That's how special you are. That's how complex the human body is. It takes one God to create it all, but a million specialists to care for it point by point. So you are a special being. And as a special being, you have to be able to take care of you. And there's a saying, the head leads the body. If you're not right in the head, then everything that you do is going to be skewed. It's not going to be okay because something is not right. So we have to be mindful of that. Like I said, 1 in 4 Americans, about 56% of Americans will experience a mental health issue or disorder. There are many types of disorders. We have actually 3 on here. I have 2, but I will touch on the third one. We have neuroses. Those are minimal mental illnesses that impacts the way we feel. Let's say we take depression, for example. When we are depressed, we are not ourselves. We are not thinking the right way. We may not be able to eat or sleep. We may feel fatigue, always that backache, that headache. We call it psychosomatic symptoms. What starts here, you start feeling physically in your body. It's like, oh yeah, this backache, it's been here for 2 weeks, it's not going away. Or my headache. You literally feel stress physically because it gets to a point where you can no longer manage it on your own. So neuroses, they are mild mental disturbances that can impact how we think, feel. We have anxiety. Anxiety falls under neuroses as well, where you're always on edge. You always keyed up. Anything that happens is like, oh my God, it feels like literally it's going to be the end of me. I cannot cope. Some of the stronger neuroses can be post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, or trauma. Something traumatic happens, and now I find myself reliving it day in and day out. I get flashbacks. My mood, cognitions, they are altered. When I get triggered, it could be Sister Althea's wearing a green dress. The person who hurt me was wearing a green dress. Even without knowing, I see her, automatically I'm frantic. And what did I do to Sister Michaela? Why did she act like that when she saw me? Oh my God, you would have thought, you're already thinking of a million things. When what truly happened, the person just got triggered because you remind that person of his or her perpetrator, someone who did something bad to them. So it could be a smell. your perfume. It could be a color. It could be anything. So we all walk with an invisible suitcase. We carry the our neighbor, our family members. They don't really know all we carry in those suitcases, and we get triggered day in and day out. Sometimes we call it bad attitude with our young people. Oh, so and so rude. I don't know why sister so and so weighs them that way. They're so rude. They don't respect their elders. Maybe you look just like the person who touched them inappropriately. They haven't been able to talk about it, but every time they see you, you remind them of that person. So they're going to have a reaction. So not everything is about them being rude. They're literally experiencing real time the dysregulation, and it puts them in overdrive. So that's neurosis. Those are disorders. If we do what we need to do. Psychotherapy. Psychotherapy literally means healing through talking. What did God use when God was creating the world? He used words. He spoke. So our words have weight. Words are powerful. So when you go to see a therapist for psychotherapy, literally what's happening, you co-creating as you are talking, the neurotransmitters of the brain, they are rewiring themselves. If you're used to hearing, oh, you're so ugly, you're so fat, you're never gonna be anything. All of those wire the brain in a faulty way. Remember when they discard, I think, therefore I am. So self-fulfilling prophecy begins to happen. But when I'm talking to someone who's valid, who is validating my feelings, telling me you're precious, you're beautiful. Have you ever wondered? Then the neurotransmitters, they begin to rewire themselves. Why? Because God created the brain as plastic. It's neuroplastic. There's a neuroplasticity. Whatever damage was done to it can be undone. Oh, if you heard that, you would have said amen. Because we have such an intentional God. He knew the brain was gonna have a few things that would happen to it. He created it in a way where the brain can bounce back. So when we leave neurosis behind, if we get into psychosis, that's when it gets real. Church people. And psychoticism, you may see things like schizophrenia. Schizophrenia literally is someone who has certain abilities the general population do not have or does not have. What are those abilities? They may have positive or negative symptoms. Positive symptoms is something I can hear stuff other people can't hear. I can see stuff other people cannot see. I can feel stuff crawling on me other people cannot see. We call it positive. It's not good or bad. It's just an ability they have. I remember I had a young boy in one of the programs I work for, and he was having a psychotic episode. During a session, he got up, he started to run around the room. He says that he saw someone with a black dress, with a big hat, with no head. In my mind, I'm saying Psalm 46, Psalms 23, and internally I'm dysregulated, but externally I have to be cool, calm, and collected. The devil's a liar. You see what now? Excuse me. If we were to bring this young person to church, some of our sisters are prayer warriors. We're going to pull out the Bible in the name of Jesus. We're going to cast out this demon. So what we call demon possessed, in our world, we call it psychoticism. So schizophrenia, paranoia, where they are experiencing things the general population does not experience. Negative symptoms is we have variations of emotions. We can feel happy, sad, mad. They fluctuate. Someone who experiences psychosis or someone who has schizophrenia, they do not experience those ranges of emotion. They have what's called endodonia. They feel stuck in that one feeling. It's hard to read the different feelings on them. That's psychosis. Then we have personality disorders. If you think psychosis was bad, spiritually speaking, we're going to say it's bad. But personality disorders, they may be a little worse. Why? Because that's who you are. Your biological imprinting is designed that way. So with personality disorders like narcissism, borderline, histrionic, in therapy, we can change that, unfortunately. There are no medications for that. For neurosis, depression, we have serotonin, norepinephrine, we have different SSRI and SOIs, we have different class of meds to give you. Fine. Psychoticism, anti-psychoticism, we have meds to give you. Personality disorders, that's who you are. Can you imagine dealing with someone who is a narcissist, who humiliate people for fun? For them to feel good about themselves, they have to diminish you, make you feel bad. They have this feeling of grandiosity. They think they're all that. Can you imagine that's your spouse? That's your child. You are condemned to live with them day in and day out. And God forbid if they don't know that. God forbid if in the household, because we are Christians, we don't go to therapy. We don't have someone who constantly helping them understand that experiencing just a little dose of empathy, that's a great thing, because for a moment, you may be able to stop and think, what if that was me? The way I'm talking to so-and-so, the way I'm acting with so-and-so, what if it was the way around? That's empathy. And they lack that. They don't have it. And that's something that's got to be taught. Most of us, we have it. We're built with it. We're able to use it in our interactions, but they don't. So oftentimes people we think are evil people. They're just rude. They're just mean. Sometimes it's just their biological, their physiological imprinting. So what do we do with that as people of faith, as a community? Knowing that some of us, we are not built the same way. Some of us have certain things we have to be more mindful and more tolerant of. That part, right? Being tolerant of other people because they're going through some stuff. So our brain is a beautiful structure. We have certain parts of the brain that directly responsible for our human interactions and how we present ourselves. We have the prefrontal cortex or the frontal lobe. We call it the boss, the executive brain. This is the part that's responsible for decision making, justification, rationalization. This part of the brain, that's the last structure based on science to develop. And it's not fully developed until you are about age 25. What age did I say? 25. If this is the boss, the executor, how many of us are making major life decisions before age 25? We're making major life decisions with a brain that's not even fully developed because the boss still under development. We have the brain stems. The brain develops from back to front. The first part of the brain to develop are the brain stems. We call it the social brain. Or we even refer to it as being downstairs, offline. The brain stems, when they're developing, when a person is in utero, that's how the outside world is able to interact with them. How many of you have sung to your babies while in the belly, read the Bible, play music? The brainstem, the social brain. It allows for that connection. We have what's called the amygdala. We have two amygdalas, one on each side. The amygdala literally is the Greek word for almond, as big as an almond seed. Has any of you ever seen an almond? We're from the Caribbean. We know when we open that little. So the amygdala, they call it the emotional center of the brain. It's responsible for all of the emotions we could think of. When the amygdala is in overdrive, our behaviors, our comportments are not going to be up to par because the emotional center of the brain is literally impacted. Have you ever heard of fight, flight, freeze? The amygdala is the key structure responsible for the fight, flight, freeze. When something happens and the amygdala is triggered, automatically it sends a signal to the hypothalamus of the brain to say that there is danger. It takes about 30 seconds. Let's say there's a black cord on the floor, and like me, you're afraid of that long thing. I won't even say the name. You guys get it, right? If I'm walking and see that black thing, automatically my system, the amygdala, will tell me, there's danger. So I can fight if I'm brave. I can run if you're me, because if it's the long thing, I'm running. Oh no, I'm not. I don't want to be brave for that. Or some people, they are wired to just freeze in the moment. Have you ever seen someone just freeze? Something happens, they freeze, and we're like, let's go. You're trying to yank the person, not knowing that they're having a physiological reaction. They literally in that moment are stuck. So fight, flight, freeze, the amygdala, that little structure, like the almond, is responsible for sadness, happiness. We have some young people, but that's something we teach in school, sexual drive. So if someone is depressed or anxious, automatically the amygdala is impacted. So certain desires they don't have. Married people talk to me. We're talking to the family. Oh, Miss So and so just avoiding me. They would do the dishes until 2, 3 in the morning not to come to bed. Oh, the way you just laughed, my sister. Pastor, you got to call her to your office. She's like, Gabe recognizes Gabe. But sometimes the physical body literally can't. Because if depression is triggered, if anxiety is triggered, then the amygdala shuts that system down. It's not because they're evil or they don't want to, they just can't. Think of it as they literally can't. And yet, we're mad. We're not talking for 3 days, a month, 3 months, just because my body literally shut down on me. The Bible says, my people die due to lack of knowledge. So do we see the need now for mental health? Do we see the need for education? We're going about things blindly, simple things that could be reconciled. Simple things that if we come together and have discussions, that our lives, our family lives, our dynamics, our interactions would be so much different or better. But yet we're so set in our ways because we take all our problems to the Lord in prayer. Yes, we do. However, certain problems, he has created the structures for you to go and seek that help. So, when we deal with depression, this morning I alluded to depression in the sense of, I'm not feeling well, something happened, I feel down, right? I can go to sleep, I can have me some soup, I can drink some tea, some remedy, and then I'm good as new. Then we have the depression where you are clinically depressed. This morning I said you need 5 out of 9 symptoms for the same 2-week period for us to say you are clinically depressed based on the DSM-5-TR. You're not sleeping or you're sleeping too much. You're not eating or you're eating too much. You're experiencing sadness, hopelessness. You are sad, crying all the time. You are isolative. Things you used to do, you're not doing anymore. Some of you cannot even get up to take a shower. That's one of the main indicators we should look for. Someone who's all about taking care of self. There are days they just don't want to get out of bed. Let me reframe that. Some days they just can't get out of bed. Because if I don't want to, then I have some sort of control. But if I can't, literally my brain is telling me, not today. And those of us who are in those family members surrounding, what do we do? If it's a young person, get your lazy behind up. You lounging all day, not in my house. That's not what we do here. Did you find out what was happening? Did you know that someone triggered them? Did you know that literally they're fighting with their brain? They want to do the thing that they know they need to do, but they can't. So how many times have we unnecessarily triggered our young people? We judge them. We mistreat them because their body, their system is shutting down. And we don't know. Because in our house, we pray so much. The devil is not welcome. So my kids, my young people, they are not impacted. We are not exempt. They are not exempt. The more we pray, the more we know challenges are going to come. Because the devil is after our joy. The devil seeks to destroy, right? So a lot of us, if we think about it, oh, how many people have I triggered in that way without even knowing? So when depression is that, we don't know the actual causes. We cannot say it is 100% because of this, but we know that there are associating factors. It could be biological. If I ask by a show of hands, how many of you know your family medical history? Most of you. You know if there's cancer. You know if there's diabetes. You know if there's hypertension. If I was crazy enough, I think I'm a little crazy, to ask, do you know your psychological medical history? But yet, every family has one crazy person. Oh, so-and-so just crazy. That's so-and-so. If so-and-so is crazy, that means it's in the bloodline. If it's in the bloodline, whether it was great-great-great-great-grandma, great-aunt, there's a 25% chance one of the generation is going to get it. You would hope that it's not your generation. But most likely, if it's not you, it's your children. If it's not your children, it's your children's children. It's in the bloodline. I'm talking about true craziness now, true psychosis, even if it's neurosis, depression, but it's in the bloodline. So when we have children, we don't only leave them the beautiful houses, all the things you work so hard to leave for them. You leave them your genes. Whatever you have, they have. Whether it's physical, mental, they're going to have it as well. So it could be a biological factor. It could be psychological. Something happens that disrupts the balance of the brain. It could be environmental. In the environment, some of you all, you migrated here, but you were from the most neglected neighborhoods growing up. You've seen some violence. You see some things that are inhuman. But society tells you, you're supposed to bounce back. You have to be okay. You don't see people dying, cross over dead people in some of our neighborhoods, even here, with gang violence. Some of us, we are desensitized. Crime no longer impacts us because we see so much of it. We become dehumanized. But yet, we're supposed to be okay. In what world? The brain has seen so much dysregulation, but yet we're supposed to be okay. So environmentally, where we live, what we expose our kids to, what we expose ourselves to, whether you are in a great field of medical, nursing, you work the ER, you've seen some traumatic things. And for PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, you don't have to have experienced the trauma yourself. Just witnessing it, just hearing about it, you can have PTSD too. So in my field, I take on a lot of people's traumas. When they come and talk to me, I hear a lot. How do I not hear that? I cannot not hear once I heard it. So what do I do with that? Do I take it home with me? Because if I don't, everybody gonna walk on eggshell because I'm dysregulated. I'm gonna be mad at the world. The wind blows and I'm it's not something that happened to me. I just heard so much evil. So it is important that we are aware. It's important that we're not only aware, but we do what needs to be done to find the help needed. There is help out there. There are many types of depression. I know my focus is supposed to be depression. You have major depressive disorder. That's the highest disorder you can have on that spectrum. We call it MDD. With that disorder, you need medication, antidepressant, plus therapy. If it's severe enough. If it's mild, psychotherapy might work, just psychotherapy. If it's not moderate to severe, you need antidepressant. Because the neurotransmitters need to be regulated for you to begin to experience a little happiness, for you to begin to experience normalcy. We have what's called persistent depressive disorder. We used to call it dysthymia. It's a depression for about a year or so, where when you're doing something you enjoy, you're not depressed. As soon as church is over, the sermon is over, now you back again. Then I come to AY, we singing, we praising, I'm good. And then I get to the car, it begins to feel dreadful. So it's not a depression where you are just stuck. You are doing stuff. That's why we call it persistent depressive disorder. So can you imagine always an elation for you to really be okay? You have to be doing something 100% of the time that is pleasing to you. Is that the type of world we live in? People gonna piss you off. Things gonna happen. What happens to that when that's the case? Then part of depression, we have bipolarity. We have used this term so loosely. Oh, sister so-and-so is bipolar. Last Saturday, she was all up on my face, and today she's not even saying hello. We play with that term so much, but bipolarity is real. Can you imagine being this? Always, never that. Bipolarity, either I'm here and my manic phase, if I have bipolar 1, where I think I'm God, I can do it all. I can go 4 weeks without sleeping. If I'm a billionaire, I'm going to break that bank and use all that money doing that manic phase. And then when I come down, I'm in depression for weeks. Can't get out of bed. In darkness, not eating. Only for mania to trigger again, I'm up again. 4 6 weeks without sleep. Mine is going 1,000,000 miles per hour. Family members can't keep up with you. And then you go to the dumps again. Can you imagine doing life like that? That's your norm. That's your normal. If you don't have the right medication to keep you centered, just to experience that when you take your meds, that's a win. Because as soon as the meds wears off, or if you stop taking it, that's seesaw again. Can you imagine that's your wife? That's your husband? That's your child? That's your sister? That's your mother? That's your father? Can you imagine how much mental space and availability you need just to deal with that person? We have postpartum. A lot of you all might have experienced it. You have that beautiful child you've been waiting for. And now, for the life of you, you can barely look at the child. And people around you who doesn't know, I'm ungrateful of you. You're crying? Do you know how many people would kill to have a child? You're going to tell me you don't like your child? It's not that. I just can't. I can't bring myself to feel the joy that I should be feeling. So for months, weeks at a time, that may be your wife. So husbands, are you equipped to deal with that? To be the only caretaker if you cannot have additional help without feeling resentful towards your wife. But in all honesty, you should not be feeling any type of resentful. She carried that baby for 9 months. So now it's your turn. I know you ain't going to be happy. I see Pastor looking. I see Mr. Edwards like, don't give them ideas. We're just talking as a family, right? We got to be fair. But oftentimes, even though we carry them 9 months, we're so happy to have them and nobody touching our babies. But when you see someone is unable to, then you have to question what's wrong. Because that's not natural. As mothers, we are caretakers, right? So you should be able to see the red signs. When something isn't going right, we have to be able to see it. Our young people, they face depression as much as we do. As many as 20% of teens will at least have one depressive episode before adulthood. How many of you have teenagers? Your kids, AY, Pathfinder kids, they will experience this. 2/3 will go undiagnosed. Why? In this day and age, people of faith, talk to me. Why would 2/3 of our teenagers who experience depression will go undiagnosed? Well, we're putting it on them. We're going to go to the parents. What is your relationship with your child? Are you able to differentiate or distinguish when your child is okay or not? It's not them. They're wired not to talk to you. They're teenagers. Okay, I know, sis. I know it's gonna take. They're wired not to talk to you because why? They're looking for that independence. They're in that stage. But if we don't have that relationship from an early age, if you don't know your child to know when your child is okay and not okay, then you're gonna miss it. Again, we're gonna blame it on this is the USA, this is attitude. We're gonna blame it on things when in fact they are sick. And unfortunately, due to that untreated and undiagnosed depression, 90% of all teens who died by suicide. You hear me? I didn't say commit suicide. I said died by suicide. What is the difference? A while ago, we changed the verbiage because when you commit suicide, when you commit something, it's a crime. When you die by suicide, you die just like you die of cancer, diabetes. It's a sickness. How many of you, life has knocked you down so many times, more times than you can count? Have you ever thought of suicide? Some of you, you might. There may be preconditions, mental health issues. But those of you who even when life knocks you down, you have never thought of it. Do you wonder why? It's because that's not part of your history. You can deal with the knockdown. Can you imagine losing a child? For me to have understood it, I attended a conference once. One of the persons who presented, she was the wife of the mayor of Myanmar. She had one son. He died by suicide because he had bipolar 1. They misdiagnosed him as bipolar 2 on medication. He got worse and he ended up dying by suicide. Football star, bright future. He went on the football field in his car, died by suicide. My only child. As that mother, what do? She went to that same field in her car. She's ready to meet him. She sat there. She had her means she was going to use. She waited. She contemplated. She thought. And then she left. Why? Because she did not have certain predisposition. Let's say if bipolarity, if she had it too, if she had depression, then he would have been a no-brainer. She would have met him right away because of that added factor. So some of you all, even though life will knock you down, that will never be your part of your thought. Even though passively we might, some of us, oh Jesus, you need to come. That's suicidal ideation. If I were to die right now, suicidal ideation. So if we want to be fair, maybe all of us or most of us, at some point think that if I wasn't here, maybe the world would be a better world. Maybe when the husband, the kids are being ungrateful. When I'm not here, if I wasn't here, what would you have done? We're contemplating. But I say all that to say, those of us, especially our young people, the 90% of undiagnosed who would experience that oftentimes is because us parents, we're not paying attention. We don't know our kids. We pretending everything is okay. One of the more dangerous sign is when they are in their womb all day, every day. I know with Caribbean parents, you send us to school, we go to church, and then we come home. And in Creole, we have this joke, we call it l'école la caille l'église. School, home, church. What friends? What sleepover? Over my dead body. But if you think you're lucky enough, you have a kid who never leaves the womb. Now you bragging, my kid does not have any friend. It's in his womb. Do you know what's going on in the womb? The kid could be depressed as can be, contemplating suicide right under your nose. And because he's not going out partying, because he's not, you should be happy if they are asking about partying, going out with friends. That means they're doing normal teenage stuff. Of course, we have to have boundaries. We have to have structure. But if a teenager is not asking us for that, they're cooked up in their womb, be very worried. They are not healthy. So when we think that, oh, my kid does not go places, my kid is home. If you were to go in that womb, if you were to search the history of their internet search, if you were to, they are not well. They are not doing well. So think twice. Make sure that if a child has that type of temperament when they're staying home, they being home, it's truly because they are so well-rounded. They are so supported. They are so cared for. They don't see a need to be outside. But not because they are in their womb all day, every day. So be mindful of that. Even if it's not for you, think of your children. I said, when depression is present, it's no joke. What do you see on the screen? This is the brain, two imaging of the brain, one with depression, one without depression. What do you see that's different? We call those gray matter. The gray matter is like the juice that fills the brain. With no depression, you see the yellowing. You see all that juice. That's a healthy brain. I can think, feel, act, behave differently. You see the dry one? You expect me to be happy all the time when I come to church? You expect me to be respectful? Literally, my brain has dried up. No more gray matters. Depression is eating it up. And yet, culturally, societally, you want me to do something I literally can't do. So do we think depression is a joke now? Anxiety, same thing. There are brain disorders when they are diagnosable. So this is no joke. We have to see them for what they are and intervene. Crisis. How many of you have experienced any crisis in your lifetime? Some of us all day, every day, right? Back to back to back to back. Sometimes you're like, when am I going to catch a break? Right? Crisis. Do you know that stress? Stress. Stress is responsible for more than 93% of all illnesses we know. Most illnesses start with stress. What was stressful turned into anxious. Anxious turned into depression. Depression turned into what have you. So this picture, literally, the crises we experience sometimes feel so overwhelming, so out of proportion with the type of strength we think we have. If you were the person under this much crisis, do you think you would have fared out well? Can you imagine this is you under crisis, carrying crisis? Physically, we don't see it, but that's us every day in and day out. From one crisis to the next, to the next. If it's not home, it's the church. If it's not church, it's community. If it's not community, it's society. Excuse me. So we are always under Stress. So, family, in that case, what do we do? If you notice someone is dealing with too much stress, someone is under so much pressure, what can we do? What are some of the things you can do? Someone in your circle is not doing well. Can you talk to them? Are you equipped to approach them? Talk to me, talk to me. Sometimes, thank you for the honesty, right? Because sometimes us talking to them could do more harm than good. Can you imagine? I remember once there was a person, she already has 2 kids. She had a miscarriage. And she's in the church office. And one of our pharmacists, great person, you would think a health professional, there are certain etiquettes and stuff like that. But the lady was crying so bitterly. The pharmacist went into prayer mode, was praying with her and shaming her. You already have 2 kids. I dare you questioning God like that. In that moment, I'm not thinking about the 2 kids I already have. I was already beginning to make a connection. Remember the brain stems, the social brain? This was a part of me. You're gonna shame me using the Bible to make me feel bad because I'm grieving. Remember this morning? Grieving is a process. Whether the child actually came into the world, there was a connection there. So I dare you tell me not to grieve that loss. A loss is a loss, right? So in talking to people, you have to have the right training. You have to have the right tact. Oftentimes, the elders, church board members, your approaches do more harm than good. It would have been better. It would have been best if you had never intervened. Now a situation that was bad, you done made it worse. Why? We have to know how to talk to them. Sometimes they don't even need someone to talk to them. Just be a presence. Just sit there, listen, hold their hands. Do you know the skin is the largest organ of the body? So skin to skin contact, just touching my arm, my hand. You don't have to say anything. Holding my hand. The body is receiving it and trickling up to the brain. Neurotransmitters are being rewired. I feel safe in this moment. Sister so-and-so did not even have to say anything. I can just sit with that person. Sometimes we don't need to go straight into prayer. You can pray in your heart for them while you sit there and hold their hands. Here's a person who knows that I am hurting. I am down and out. I'm depressed. They're not bringing their anxiety of wanting to force me to feel better before I am physically able to feel better. They're just sitting with me. They are patient. They are understanding. Can you imagine if that was all of us? What type of gift we would have been to our church community? The type of gift we have been to our families? But sometimes in our own anxiety, some of us, we cannot sit in anything. We got to fake it always, pretending to be okay when we're not okay. So if I can fake it well, you should be able to fake it well too. Because when you're not faking it well, then you're making me nervous and anxious, and that's not good for me. Remember, I talked about chronic seriousness this morning? When we get into that mode, we are too holy to experience anything. The Holy Spirit is so much in us, nothing is going to peep through. Girl, stop lying. Boy, bye. We are a human being before we anything else. So we have to be real with ourselves. A lot of us parents, our kids, do not feel safe to come to us because we are always pretending. They know we're not okay. They know you and daddy are not talking. They know you are in separate rooms. They know when you come to church, you have to pretend to at least be decent. So sister so-and-so who's always paying attention doesn't see. But they know. And then when they see you at church acting like, oh, what hypocrites. And then we want them to love church so much. We want them to be so into church. But you are not a good example. Our kids are going to imitate what we do. When you are real, when you allow them to feel, to think, to explore, they're going to be healthier human beings. And thereby, you will see that they'll have more of a drive for God and for church. So it's not that they're bad kids. It's not that they're bad people. We just have been failing them. We have not been there for them. We have not been a support. To us, the way we grew up, sometimes we glorified abuse. Oh, in the Caribbean, oh, I would get that beatings. Oh, shoes, extension cord. That's why I'm a doctor today, because my parents were stern. That was abuse. And because of that abuse, even if you don't use the same methods here, because you know you will go to jail, but you are passive aggressive about it. You find other ways to hurt their feelings, to devalue them. And then when they don't become anything, sister so-and-so's kids, oh, they're all doctors and engineers. Oh, what's wrong with my belly? What type of kids I produce? The stuff you have said over them. Stop comparing them to other people's kids. Make them your kids. Make them feel loved, supported, and understood. You will see how well they will do. So it starts with us. If we're not well, we cannot have a household of healthy people. Fathers, chief of the house, are you well mentally? That depression, you experience it differently than women. It is easier to see when a woman is depressed than a man. Are you hiding it? Machoism, hardcore, men don't cry. I'm the father, I'm the authority figure. But Dad, you're not doing well. If you were to really pay attention, get help, maybe as your daughter, I would have that courage. If my dad can do it, so can I. If mommy would stop going to the closet and cry because things are not going well, but she wants to hide it from us. If mommy was to be real, maybe I could be real too and say that, Mom, I know you're not well, but I'm not well either. Most times I don't feel like it. I want to, but I can't. Can you imagine what type of families we would have? How tolerant, how flexible we would be? I'm hearing a lot of, because we all are guilty. We all are in this together. No one is exempt. We all are guilty. But there is hope. Psychotherapy was designed by God with trained professionals, whether a therapist, social worker, psychologist, psychiatrist. That domain is created to help the head be sound so that the rest of the body can follow suit. We have different interventions, different modalities that we use: CBT, DBT. We have family-focused intervention like natural systems theory. We have them all. All that is missing is church people. What did I say? Church people, Caribbean people who think that who's going to sit in front of someone and talk about my problems? They have their own problems. That is true. But when you come and talk to me about your problems, I go to my therapist and talk about my problems as well. Oh, we all have therapists. How do you take on so much pressure? So much evilness. You think I'm going to take this home all day, every day? I need my own space too, where I'm not the expert in the room. I can just sit and be a human being. Tell me everything that I'm doing wrong and encourage me in everything that I'm doing right. So we therapists, we have therapists too. We psychologists, we see people, because can you imagine if we don't? The type of danger. I teach at the master's and doctoral level in mental health counseling and family therapy. My students, even if the university does not require, I require it. When you get to my practicum, you need to go to therapy. If you're going to become a therapist, you need to know what it feels like to be the person on the other end, to be the person sitting across from someone where you don't have to have the final answer. You don't have to have the fancy words. Just be a human being. So it is important. So people of God, we have to take care of ourselves. There are many ways in which we can do that. We have self-care. There are different dimensions of self-care. How many of you, if I ask you, do you practice self-care? What would you say? Yes, but what's your self-care? Sleep, okay. Vacation, okay. Okay, pedicure. Oh, yes. All of those are self-care, yes. But it's always the physical. Those are physical self-care, and it's great. Physical self-care is great. Whether it's getting your hair done, getting your nails done, going on vacation, going for a walk. Do you know when you walk? A 30-minute walk is the equivalent of 1 hour EMDR therapy for trauma, because there's a bilateral stimulation happening. Your left and right brain, they are being worked on simultaneously when you go for a walk. So physical self-care is great, but we always go for the big things. Emotional self-care, how are you doing it? Do you know how to regulate your emotions? When you're angry, do you know how to sit there, breathe? Do you know what to do? When you're sad, what are your methods? Cry, okay. Crying can be therapeutic, but what if I have depression? Crying is part of the symptomologies. So now it's a symptom. It's not even a self-care practice. So crying can be good and bad. Good is, yes, I feel overwhelmed. As the healthy person that I am, I'm going to go have me a good cry, then wash my face. I'm good as new. Crying is therapeutic. But if every time something happens, every second I'm going to the bathroom and cry, now, is that a self-care? It's no longer a self-care. Now we have a problem we need to take care of. Psychological self-care. What do you fuel your brain with? Is it trash? Reality TV? What fiction? Whatever. What do you fuel your brain with? Psychological self-care can be reading the Bible, doing a crossword puzzle, watching a healthy film, documentary. Those things are not all bad. Even the reality TVs, sometimes some of them can be trash. Even trash, it can be helpful. Why? Remember the chronic seriousness I talk about? Sometimes we think I have 2 doctorate degrees. I'm better than these people. When you actually watch those reality TV shows as a trend person in mental health, you cannot not see trauma. Automatically, you're like, oh my God, no wonder why so-and-so is behaving like that. Trauma, 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 trauma. So even in watching those, there's nothing bad with it. It's how much of it, the intensity and duration of it. Spiritual self-care. Is it enough just to do the lesson? I do my lesson for the day, I'm good. Christ, we're good for the day, right? Social self-care. Relationally, how are you with your wife? How are you with your husband? How are you at the job? Socially, do you talk to people? Do you engage people? Do you interact? So there are many, many ways you can practice self-care. I have a few things I'll leave you with before we go into our Q&A shortly. When things get tough, I have this technique that I practice with my clients, especially clients with anxiety or depression. It's called GLAD. Say GLAD. 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 G, gratitude. Do you practice gratitude? Are you someone who thinks positively? Do you feel content for the smallest thing? Sometimes. So with gratitude, I love that you said sometimes, because it's not always easy, right? So for G, you would think of one thing you are grateful for. Out of everything that happened that day, one thing. You can do that when you wake up for the night before, or you can do it before going to bed. One thing that you're grateful for. And then one thing you learned. Out of everything that happened, did you learn at least one thing? One thing you accomplished. Some of us, I feel so busy, I'm here, there, but I don't feel like I'm being productive. One thing you accomplished. And then one thing you found delight in. What did I say? Grateful for, learned, accomplished, delight. Very easy, right? Can you imagine if you do that daily or nightly to help put things into perspective? Sometimes we think too bigly. Everything has to be big or grand. If I didn't go on a 10-day vacation. I never practiced self-care. But you had a nice phone call with a friend. You had a nice moment of fellowship at church. Do you know that a moment of praise in church gives you the same amount of serotonin boost, the feel-good chemical of the brain, than if you were to take certain antidepressants? Because so some of us, the medication we need really is a good praise. You come to that. Okay, praise team leaders, they're like, yes, we've been telling you this. Now you just needed the science behind it. Yes. So you have to put your day into perspective. Sometimes we think too bigly because we see things so big, so huge. Then we think we could never attend it. We could never get there. So when you're done practicing your glad, wear your mask. How many of you doing COVID? You hated that thing. But we're not going to wear the physical mask. We're going to wear a symbolic mask. We have to know that we have to know how to maintain our peace. How many of you, when was the last time you felt peaceful? You really experienced the true sense of peace. Being calm, surrender, letting God just be a vessel. Because in the business of trying to fix everything, it is so hard to remain peaceful. Acknowledge your emotions. When emotions come, be able to acknowledge them. Seek a non-judgmental community. What did I say? Yes, non-judgmental. Do you know what's different between a therapist and a friend? A therapist is a paid, non-anxious, and non-judgmental presence. Whatever you bring to my room, it's not my job to judge. It's my guide to help and facilitate. But if I go to a friend, before I'm even done with that sentence, you already have all the solutions for me. I'm not looking for your solutions, girlfriend. Just hear me out. So to pass all this aggravation, instead of using a friend, I'm going to my therapist. Because I need someone to truly be present to listen to me. If you can serve that for your people, then you all are in good hands. And then, like my sister said this morning, I don't see her here, know that this too shall pass. Whatever it is, it's only for a season. So, my church family, learn how to distress. Learn coping skills. If you don't have them, we're not born with those. We have to acquire them. And oftentimes it's through the means of therapy, where you learn to develop certain thinking skills, certain abilities to help you cope with life better or differently. When you are able to do that, rest. Not just rest in the Sabbath. Rehydrate yourself. Do you know that by the time you feel thirsty, it's already too late? If I'm feeling thirsty right now, I have already lost 3/3 of brain functionality in that moment. A lot of us, we won't take any liquid intake until we feel thirsty. But by the time we feel thirsty, the brain stops functioning. So we hydrate as often. Eat something. Regulate your food intake. Step outside. Breathe some fresh air. Get that bilateral stimulation, that walk. Talk to someone. Again, you will see me put a lot of emphasis on talking to someone. And after everything that I said, if nothing resonates, I implore you to follow Paul's mind diet in Philippians 4:8. Think things that are truthful. How many of us, because we need to survive, we would say small lies? We would take shortcuts. Be truthful. Do things that are honorable. Can I take your word for it, Pastor? Elders, can I take your word for it? Board members, can I take your word for it? Your actions, are in alignment with your words? I always tell my clients, this is what people say and this is what people do. And we are only judged by what we do, not what we say. So you may have all the beautiful words, But if what you're saying is incongruent with what you're doing, then I cannot follow that. Do the right thing, whether people are watching or not. Think lovely thoughts. Be a support to your people. Be admirable. Think excellently. And let everything that you do be praiseworthy because we serve a just and magnificent God. Thank you so much for this talk. Now it's your time to talk to me.
We have microphones in the back, so just raise your hands, and one of our young people or youth will take the microphones to you for your questions.
Question. Yeah. Is there a difference between demon possession and, mental illness?
Is there a difference? Yes. For us who are believers, Christian, certain symptoms automatically we're going to attribute to demon possessed because sometimes maybe we've seen people who have been demon possessed where they are not congruent. Some of the things they say, their behaviors. So as a Christian, we may know that, okay, these behaviors are behaviors of the devil, right? Scientifically, the same behaviors the DSM tells me, if someone present with them, we call it psychosis. So can two things be true? Can someone be truly demon possessed at times? And can that same someone have psychosis? I had a lady doing my practicum and internship when I was doing my master's. She was my first client. She was Haitian. I'm a Haitian therapist in training. So, hey, it only makes sense. She needed a Creole speaking. That was my first client. I'm in the womb doing therapy with her. She's coming to therapy. Why? She had a 9-month-old. She heard a voice one day that told her to take a glass vase, turn it into powder, put Clorox in it, drink it, and give it to the baby. She ended up in a Baker Act unit and now diagnosed with schizophrenia, and she's undergoing therapy with me. When I'm talking to her, when I asked her question, she said, there are two people standing right above me. One is telling her to answer the right way, the other is telling her to answer the wrong way. To her, her assessment of her situation, her husband's family is doing voodoo on her because he's taking such good care of her. They are jealous of her. As a Haitian person, can that be true? Do I know about voodoo? Is it real? If God is real, then voodoo is real. Evil and good, we cannot take one and discount the other. So, what do I do? Do I just pray with her? Cast that demon out in my therapy room? Or do I do what I need to do? Talk to her to better understand what's going on. So, in that case, maybe she was demon possessed to some extent, but she also equally had psychosis and needed medication. So yes, two things can be true. Though one of the truer way we are able to differentiate, if we prescribe GABA, that literally takes over and do an entire reset. If we giving them that class of medication, nothing works, then it might be more spiritual than psychological. But two things can be true, and I've seen it where there's that spiritual aspect and also there's that clinical aspect. Thank you for that question. Oh, well, great. Look at that. It was great being with you all.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm knowing that I'm understanding that medical illness is not a problem. I always thought when a person have a mental problem, I always thought that something is wrong. But you make it clear that it's not a problem. But you mentioned that mental illness is a problem. And
Mental health is the good thing.
mental health.
Yes, it's just like when you go to your doctor for your preventative care, you go for your checkup. We should all go to therapy for checkup. This is us being good, being able to talk, interact. If we don't do that, we may get to mental illnesses where now it's a more biological thing going on in the brain.
Yeah, thank you for that. I remember as a teenager growing up, there was this Seventh Adventist guy. It's only when you're saying this I'm really thinking. For 6 months of a year, he will not come to church. And 6 months later, he comes to church. And that goes on for about 10 years. And I was saying to myself, only now I'm thinking about it, I say, maybe this guy really needed help. Because 6 months you go to church and 6 months you don't go to church. So I thank you for the enlightenment.
Oh, thank you. Maya Angelou says, do the best you know until you do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, you do better. Oftentimes, especially back home and in our cultures and due to certain limitations with mental health, with psychology, we weren't paying attention to the stuff. We just think that, 6 months is here, 6 months is not there. I wonder if the leaders, if the medical professionals, anyone thought about him to find out what is it about these 6 months. Could it be that this is the 6 months where he experienced some severe trauma? Maybe if the trauma was church related, and the person, when he literally cannot bring himself to the place that that put pain or trauma on him. So to separate himself from that, maybe that was the only way. But it would have been great that if the church leaders, if someone knew to approach him to find the root cause, what's going on during these 6 months? What is it that happened for you to stay away for a whole 6 months? It's never too late to think about it. Maybe the next time you see something that's out of the ordinary, you might feel more equipped to kind of question it and even approach the person and see where the church might be able to help. So thank you for that.
Identifying depression. You were saying if we do the same thing every day for 2 weeks, what if it's a week?
So for me to diagnose you with MDD, major depressive disorder, based on the DSM-5-TR, you have to have the 5 out of 9 symptoms for criterion A for the same 2-week period. If it's just a week, then I cannot diagnose you with that. I know it's depression. That's why the DSM went from categorical to more spectrum or a continuum. It used to be either you have it or you don't. And previous DSM, starting with the DSM-5, and now we are the 5-TR, it's more continuum. Maybe you are experiencing depression. We're going to call it unspecified depressive disorder. We know you have depression, but we don't have enough. We don't have the duration to say that you have major depressive disorder. Why is that important? Because if I diagnose you with major depressive disorder, I'm going to give you a referral to see either a psychiatrist or your primary care doctor to provide you something to help balance the neurotransmitters. So can you see why? If it's just 1 week, then prematurely I'm giving you medication for something that's not there. So it has to be the same 2-week period for us to say that it's major depressive disorder. That's one of the disorders where you need medication. Most people. Now, if it's other specified or unspecified depressive disorder, we can talk about it. We use coping skills. We use certain things to help get you back in shape. But if after a week, the same symptoms are there, then we have enough time to say that it's been 2 weeks, the same 5 or any 5 now you meet criteria, I can say that you have MDD. But we cannot classify it as that if the time frame does not align.
So I have two questions. Question number one, the personality disorder, is that something that you're born with?
Yes, unfortunately. It is part of your biological imprinting. It's who you are. That's why it's not really changeable. If I'm born to be narcissistic, again, I cannot tell you this is the cause. It could be genetics, it could be psychosocial factors, it could be environmental factors, but for some reason, the way you are wired differently. And when you are wired differently, you are going to do life differently. And when you step outside of the norms that have been established, then you're going to be a problem to society. Because in our world, in our community, that's not how we engage with people. Oftentimes the president we have now, today's 4th of July, a lot of people are diagnosing him. He's a narcissistic. I cannot confirm or deny that is that. But if I were to check the DSM, I think he meets criteria. So do you think that's someone we can change? No. I don't care how good of a therapist or psychologist you are. Ooh, I don't think that's changing, right? You know what? You guys are having too much fun with that one. Only the Holy Spirit can, right?
My last question was about seasonal depression. Can you expound on that a little bit more? Because I find myself recognizing when it's coming down to fall and winter, when the sun isn't out, my mood changes.
Yes, thank you for that. I know I didn't go over it. Seasonal depression disorder oftentimes associate with the different seasons. Some of us, when it's summer, we're happy. There's a lot of sun. We feel ourselves being most able, capable. We are in our zone. When we kind of getting into spring, winter, your mood literally changes based on the environment. A lot of you all, if you ever lived up north, New York, when you see all those trees becoming black and with no leaves, physically, that's how you feel. Your emotions, your mood follows that. Here in Florida, thankfully, we don't see a whole lot of it, but you can still experience it. So yes, based on a particular season, if you are wired to experience depression, you may find yourself that your mood and emotions fluctuate during those seasons. And then out of nowhere, the season changes, you find yourself being yourself again. When that happens, recognizing it, if you have your own therapeutic space to talk about it, having the coping skills needed to be able to cope when that happens. If we already know something is going to happen, we're going to brace for impact, right? But if every time it happens, we shock again, then we're not addressing it properly. So it is something that's real. When you find yourself being down, more down during the winter season, it's called seasonal depressive disorder. It's something that comes and goes. It's not the type where we're going to give you medication for it. Unless you were to slip into severe depression, what started as something seasonal, now it's something permanent. Now we would need to intervene in a different manner. Pharmaco plus psychotherapy. But recognition, awareness is the key for you to know, okay, if I know I tend to be this way during winter, what are the things I need to put in place? Do I have a trustworthy person whether it's my husband, a child, a friend, if you see me doing this and that during this season, this is how you can help me. So proactively, you're already putting your treatment plan in place. So that when, if I'm in the department with you as the praise team leader, if you see me begin to, be a little iffy around October, November, kind of like go to the other sister if you have a question, if you're a trigger for me, like don't come to me directly, that might be better. We are treatment planning proactively instead of them coming and be like, oh, what did I do, right? But thank you for that question.
Yeah, man.
We have another believer.
I know, Nico,
Question
because
there.
I used to live up north and springtime was my best time. It makes me come alive. So, Dr. Pierre, the glad. First, I must say I'm glad to have you here.
Amen.
So glad. I like the glad, because sometimes it's like you go through the entire day and you ask yourself, what did I do today? What did I accomplish? And so many times it happened, the days just went by. But I really like this, especially when he said, delight one thing that delights you today. I really like it, and I'm happy for it, and I thank you for it.
Well, I'm glad. I hope you use it too, because believe you me, it works.
I will.
This is how you evaluate, you assess your day and review. Because if that day was so big, so much happened, we feel so unproductive, then we step back. One simple thing, and the smaller the thing, the better. Don't think big at all. Oh, when so and so passed by me, he smiled. Pastor smiled at me today. Oh, that was the delight of my day, because the day was so crappy. Nothing else went right. But, Sister Athea, the way she welcomed me this morning, that made my day. That's a delight, right? So when we're thinking small, then we would find the things that we are doing. And as soon as you think it, the brain, it's like you experience a physical shift. From there's a dark cloud, everything is all bad, to, oh my God, I learned something today. Oh, I accomplished something today. I got to church on time, right? The smaller, the better. Don't think big, just think small and be thankful. Use it faithfully every night or every morning. You definitely will see a difference.
Check.
Yes. I know you did mention about what we feed our minds with, right? I want to ask you about digital therapy. I didn't hear you say anything about that. Digital therapy, saying that, like watching like Animal Planets. I love that. It's therapy for me. Can you shed some light on that?
Oh, I thought when you said digital, you were talking about telehealth.
Digital therapy.
Yes. I think I mentioned too, it's called psychological self-care. Whether we watch television, we do a crossword puzzle, we read the Bible. To each his own. If you like the animals, have at it. Whatever helps give you that natural serotonin or oxytocin. Let's say those of you, if you're animal person, if you have an animal while you are watching your show, you touch the animal, you get a boost of oxytocin. Oxytocin, we call it the hug drug. So there are certain drugs people take to get that, but watching a show might give you that because you take pleasure in that, right? So it's definitely a therapy and it's very therapeutic.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Just a quick one. What are some trauma-informed care approaches that the church can employ?
Basic trauma-informed care. Church, very, very good question. We have to know people's backstory. Context. To know someone is to know them in context. If I just see you, I don't know what you've been through. I don't know your story. I might be more a trigger in the way I interact with you than being a help. Even though my intention was well, we have intention and impact. Intentions can be very good, but the approach was not so good. Now the impact is devastating. So being able to really truly know people, and how do we do that? In forming relationships. Getting to know the person on a one-to-one level. Not just seeing all these people here because I spent a Sabbath with you, automatically I already think I know you all. And then I'm coming to you giving you all sorts of advice. So the number one trauma-informed intervention I would advise is that. Getting to know someone. And when you get to know them, when you know certain trigger points, try not to re-traumatize them or re-trigger them. Even, pastor, if you know of someone's certain narrative, they trusted you with that. Sometimes inadvertently, even in your sermon, the way you go about it, the person might feel attacked. And if they have talked to you personally, now they're taking it personally. I dare you something I shared with you in the sacred space. Now you use it on your pulpit. So trauma informed is to really be intentional, to pay attention, to truly care and show that you care in deeds and in words. So there are a lot of tips, there are a lot of things, but I think that's most and foremost, because a lot of the damages when I see clients who have been traumatized by the church, it's mostly that. This is at the core. But if we have people who have experienced trauma, it's part of the leader's job to do some trauma-informed seminars. Now, if I come here on a different mandate to do trauma-informed seminars with the leaders, then we're going to talk technical language, things that you can actually do. But broadly, context, background, and then know how to move forward and intervene, not to be traumatized.
Hey, Dr. Pierre.
Oh, hey, Kenya, you back.
I am.
That's my therapist, y'all. She works with one of my programs. I'm the regional director. I oversee 4 programs. 2 in Orlando, 1 in Okeechobee County, 1 in Broward. She works for the Broward one. So I drove from Orlando last night to come to you all. I was in Orlando this week. Yes, Miss Kenya.
Thank you for coming. I do want to say that because I know Caribbean parents, Caribbean families are a little tough when it comes to mental health, especially like me getting into the field and everything. It was always, you're not a nurse, you're not a doctor, you're not an engineer. What are you going to do with your life? Things like that.
You preaching to the choir.
I try to do this with my church. They weren't as receptive. It's okay. How can you expound a little bit more on how that plays out in a kid's future? That lack of communication, that lack of nurturing, not just developmentally, but like in relationships and all that, how it can lead to PTSD and depression.
She said a whole lot in that. I hope I can do it justice. I might have to come to you and we have to let kids be themselves. Some of you all, what you didn't get to do, you want them to do it to relieve your glory to them. They're not you. You, and they're them. So even talking about Caribbeanly, culturally, ethnically, certain jobs, we won't even let our kids entertain being that. I remember when I told my people I was going to go into psychology. Like, psychology, that's for white people. What are you going to do with that? I even had a pastor. It's like, I know you're very philosophical, but you're not thinking of your future. You don't want to be able to eat. Because if you're not a nurse, if you're not a doctor, if you're not a lawyer, you ain't going to be making money. A therapist, a psychologist, you're not right. I guess you want to be poor your entire life. Well, I'll stay poor my entire life if I'm in my calling. So representation matters. A lot of us, because of our own fears, because of our own limitation, we create certain blockages for our kids to be able to come to us, to express themselves. If I'm artistic, if I'm feeling pulled to do the arts, we're thinking of surviving always. The pastor who told me if I didn't want to eat, I said, I've been eating my entire life. I don't care about eating. I just want to sit at the table. So because I was one of those who stepped out of the comfort zone, now I get to do this almost every Saturday. The 11th, Barakawan, Orlando. The 18th, Pergam, Orlando. There's a need. There was always a need to have trauma-informed, psychological, Seventh-day Adventist, well-grounded people. Oftentimes in our communities, especially in the Haitian community, when we need such a person, we have to bring them from outside. And then they're coming to our services looking all type of ways. That's not in accordance with our worship principles. But because we need the knowledge that they have, we have no choice. And so communicating, hearing the hearts of our kids is important. Don't think about you. You already lived your life. You did what you could with what you had. Now empower them. Create a dynamic, a playful dynamic where they can come to you, talk about any and everything, so that you know their dreams, their aspirations. It is your job to tell them nothing is too big for them to do. If they want it, if God approves it, it will happen. So don't let your lack of resources, your lack of knowledge really impede your kid's spirit for them to feel so discouraged. Now, if you tell me I cannot be an astronaut because I'm Jamaican, I'm Haitian, well, I give up because that's what my brain gravitates toward. And now, oh, you're so lazy, you're not doing your schoolwork. I've lost my motivation because you told me I couldn't. So please hear the heart of your kids. Have open communication. The earlier you start, the better. In terms of early enough. In certain Caribbean cultures, kids are seen, not heard. And this day and age, we're still practicing that. Excuse me, aren't you a kid? Don't you see them white kids? Young enough. They are very articulating. They have that home environment where they can express their thoughts. Even when they make mistakes, they have people who had the same upbringing who can guide that. So we need to stop parenting in fear. We need to stop parenting so hard, being so harsh on our kids. We're crushing their dreams and thereby their lives without even knowing it. Then we're going to blame Satan. So thank you, Miss Kenya, for that. I hope I did it justice.
I have a question, Dr. Pierre. Yeah.
This side, okay.
Okay. All right. So as you mentioned, it's very difficult at times to get our people into therapy. But when you do get our people into therapy, it's even more difficult to get our people to take psychotic medication. Sometimes there is a misconception that once you start, it's addictive, you're going to be on it for life. Can you emphasize that, it's not, sometimes it's just to bring back that chemical imbalance into balance and you can get off these medications?
Definitely. Very, very good question. Medication overall is good and bad. Whether it's for physical maladies or mental or emotional maladies. Why? Physical meds, when I take it, I know there are side effects. In the grand scheme of things, for me to get some relief with what I'm dealing with, because if I don't take it, if I'm diabetic, if I have hypertension, me not taking it pose a greater risk of me dying sooner than if the meds have a little headache, nausea as a secondary effects, right? So in my strive for me to stay alive in the immediacy, I'm going to take it to help the diabetes even when I know I may experience some bad headache. I'll take headache over going into a diabetic coma, right? So the same goes for psychotropic meds, antidepressants. Depression is so bad. Psychoticism is so bad. If I don't take the meds to regulate the neurotransmitters, the brain risks being further deteriorating where I may lose most or all abilities. So when I think of that, knowing that I need the functionality of my brain, I'm gonna weigh out the negative consequences. Yes, there may be some side effects. I may feel a little numb at times. I may be more sleepy, but more sleepy or having a brain that is totally deteriorative. You get to make that decision. And psychotropic meds is the very same as physical meds. You have to weigh out the pros and cons. In the grand scheme of things, how many of us will really die of feeling nauseous? But if we don't take that meds, if we have psychosis or if we have bipolarity, we may do something that costs us our lives. So in the meantime, I don't have time to be thinking if I'm going to be addictive on this drug. In this moment, I need to make sure that the neurotransmitters are okay. So it's the same thing. And we don't keep you on meds forever. Eventually, once the neurotransmitters have enough balance, we can wean you off. You don't just stop. We wean you off of the meds. It may be that you stop it for a while and then you become symptomatic again. We start it again. It's a process, right? But automatically, if the thinking is, I'm going to get addicted, then when you break that knee, when you break that back, please don't take the painkillers. You're more likely to get addicted to painkillers than those other meds. So stay with that pain. We're gonna be honest. You just come from out of surgery. You have a broken leg. The pain is unbearable. Pray the pain away. Don't take the meds. I'm gonna be brutal with you tonight. So thank you for that question. You don't get if you already have a predisposition to get addicted to certain things, certain substances, the part responsible for that in the brain is called the nucleus accumbens. The nucleus accumbens is anything pleasure, anything. It could be sugar, it could be sleep, it could be sex, it could be, once you introduce anything to the nucleus accumbens that is pleasure seeking, pleasurable, it might take a grab of it. But meds has a way to regulate the nucleus accumbens so that it doesn't get to that. But if you have certain other predisposition, you can become addictive of any meds, whether psychotropic or medication for physical maladies.
Question. You spoke of childhood trauma. So an adult who experienced childhood trauma, would you say that therapy is required or can it be grown out by lifestyle?
Oh, girl, the devil's a liar. Nothing is going to be grown out. If you experience childhood trauma, actually, if I were to say that all of us have experienced childhood trauma, some may say yes, some may say no. Why? Remember I talked about being in utero earlier? When you are in utero, anything the mother experiences, the child experiences. A lot of you already born already with trauma in your brain. As early as 3 days old, we can already see it. Have you ever seen a baby so hypervigilant? Anything the baby so fidgety? Why? The stress. The high cortisol level. Let's say this is a baby of a teenage mother. Unmarried teenage mother in the Caribbean church. Every time I walk in that church, every eye is on me. Oh, sister so-and-so, oh, she's a bad girl. So that stress, that shame, the baby is fueling on that. So a lot of us, due to no fault of our own, we're already born with a traumatic brain. At least there are 6 key factors. Stress endured by the carrier is one of them. If they experience abuse, early hospitalization, if the baby is born preemie, all those surgeries being poked, being worked on, operated on, the little small body, the brain is already registering life as so hard, the brain goes into shock. So a kid who was in the preemie, who was deprived from that skin to skin contact because they had to be able to survive before we can give them that care. But that day one care they did not get, the brain does not forget that. Automatically, this kid becomes so independent. Some of you are, oh, I have a good baby. My baby doesn't cry. My baby's good. No, your baby's sick. Because your baby very early on realized that I don't need you. I don't need anyone in the world. We have this saying in certain communities, when kids cry, we let them cry. Some of us said they're gonna have a nice voice if we let them cry. I don't know. Praise team leaders, help me here. But when you let them do that, because if they are hungry, if they are wet, they need their caregiver to come and respond to their needs. The way they know to communicate is to cry. Something is wrong. They need to be soothed. We're like, oh, well, I'm washing the dishes. I'm doing that. I'm not going to pamper that baby, or I'm not going to, there's a word for it that's not coming. We say gâter in Creole, spoil. Yes, thank you. You see? Yes, let them cry. I'm not going to spoil the baby. You're not spoiling the baby. You're telling the baby you don't matter. If you are wet, you crying, you're gonna wait 2 hours. That's the brain already reconciling it. I have no one. I cannot depend on no one. Do you know? In the first 3 years of life, especially the first year of life, those of you who did basic psychology, you know trust versus mistrust, the stages of change. Trust versus mistrust, the first stage of life, according to Eric Erickson model, there are 8 stages we go through. The first one, we acquired that in the first 12 months of life. So in the first year of life, if I had a caregiver who was attentive, loving, nurturing, I may go up to have what's called secure attachment. If I had a caregiver who was lax, mean, and attentive, then I may go up to be insecure. And a lot of relationship issues come from individuals who have insecure attachment styles, but the world is telling them they have to be perfect people. So to no fault of your own, the first year of your life, whoever brought you up, not because they were mean, they were evil, they didn't know. They thought culturally they were doing something. They want you to be independent, but too much independence become I need nobody. And now I'm grown, I'm married, I still don't need my husband. What affection? Stay away from me. That's not what we do here. I didn't raise you like that. Why you so standoffish? The first year of life, you told me that's how I needed to be with people. So you see how many of us are sick? From day one, the cards were stacked against us, and people are wondering, I wonder why so-and-so show up like that in relationship. I wonder why you acting like a baby. Well, because we have insecure attachment styles. And our attachment style, we carry with us until and unless we realize that's not healthy. We do the therapy work. Going back to your question, remember I said this morning the brain was plastic. There's a neuroplasticity to it. We can rewire the brain back, but you have to do the work, and you have to do a lot of work, especially if it's childhood trauma.
Okay. Back to the medication.
Is this the last or the last question? Okay.
It could be. I went to the doctor some time ago, and a medication was prescribed. When I look at the side effects, it scared my life out. Should I, because it is prescribed by the doctor, should I go ahead and take it?
I would have a discussion with your doctor and pharmacist. There may be a different class of medication that may still be effective and have less side effects for you, especially if you have certain preconditions that may overlap with those. So I'll do a consultation with your PCP, your primary care doctor, and then your pharmacist. It's always good to have a good relationship with your pharmacist. They can help you. You know, that's what they do. They know the intakes, all the chemicals combined. They might be able to guide you more.
But I didn't take it, you know. I tried it.
I think I kind of figured that out. I cannot advise you to take it or not take it, but what I would do, if it's for something vital, I would definitely check with my medical professionals and find something that has less side effects you feel more comfortable with. But at the core, you need to be able to take care of whatever it is that you need to take the meds for. Well, church family, it has been a pleasure. You know, I can stand here for the entire night, but those heels are very high. At some point, I gotta think of self-care because they're hurting. It was great being with you all. Thank you for this opportunity. I think we learned by coming together as a community and that way as one big family so that we have better skills to be able to take care of our own immediate families. It is my hope that we can continue to have such conversations where we can destigmatizing certain conversations, certain aspect so that we can become more learners of life, and we can have the skills and tools needed to do life in a way that is more pleasing to God and to our neighbors. May God bless you all. Thank you so very much.